I'm going to own this one. I made a fatal error at the weekend. I misspec'd the pipe we laid through here, and totally my fault. We're now having to undo everything we done on Saturday. So I had the guys in on Saturday doing this because it was quiet time. So I'm to dig it up and redo it because I'm tarmacking this on Saturday of this week, and I would not be able to sleep at night not putting it right. So I'm digging out everything I've done, redoing it, running a new whole new drainage section through here, and over-engineering it this time so it doesn't fail now or at any time in the next 100 years. So we're putting in our the curb line. I'm tarmacking in 2 days now. You got to we're putting all the curbs in. Morning, Freddie. You all right, mate? Chris, you all right? Plan of attack today is to get this running down to there, and then tomorrow we'll be dicking around on this corner because it's when you get into turn, you can do this whole run in a day. That little section there will probably take us the best part of tomorrow because we've got angles to do and radiuses to do, and it just slows down to an absolute grind when you get onto that that type of work. So big push over the next 2 days to get this ready. Don't know if we talked much in it. This is going to be, there'll be an island in here, towels on the back wall here with your oven and your fridge freezer, surfaces down there, TV up there. This will be kind of a bit of an open super room, kitchen type scenario going out onto a patioed area out there. Not always ideal having a kitchen kind of towards the front of the house. Traditionally it's on the back, but again, because of the challenges in planning, I'm trying to make it all work as best I can. By next week, the kitchen will be in that where I'll rope you through the kitchen, the carcasses. I don't know if I'll put the finish on yet, but definitely the carcasses will all be in. When you get to now the finish, you have to be careful with things get damaged quite easily. So I really want to get that site clean as I kick into the final finish. So I'll put the carcasses in. I don't know whether I'll put the cabinetry, like the doors and stuff on yet, but certainly the carcasses will all be in. When it comes to residential, we have permitted residential lights. So this is the residential element of this site. As you can see, I've done nothing on the residential element because my permitted development rights are quite narrow. But my farming for the 25 acres are quite broad. So I'm currently working my permitted development rights. I'm just as info you call me. They're cool, dads. It's happening. They're at the gates. Hey, listen. In comparison to the ones that you see me back and forth from the other councils, yep. This lady was lovely, pragmatic, lovely, reasonable, not authoritarian. You could have a proper conversation about the projects, just in a very open manner. And I walked around the residential curtilage and I said, look, as you can see, I am doing nothing in the residential curtilage because I know my permitted development rights here are narrow. I said, but on my farming land, I'm doing drainage works. I've stripped them. I'm screening the topsoil. I'm putting the topsoil back out. And I'm doing that all within, she said, I think that is permitted. Yeah, I'll be honest, and don't take my word, but I'm pretty confident everything you're doing there is permitted. If you could just stick that in an email to me, I'll come back to you in the next day or two. But she said that basically there's a lot of calls going in because they thought I was building a housing estate without planning permission. Locals thinking I'm building a housing estate without planning permission. I mean, who would do that? You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm just whacking up 100 houses, I'll have to knock them all down again, but It was by fluke. Mark, he's the MD of a prospect agency. Basically, had we not been called back to my site and had we not been coming back in this direction at 1 minute to 11, I'd have forgotten all about this meeting. That was a complete fluke. I saw him pulling up. I mean, shit, I've got a meeting here.
That's what your Outlook's for.
I don't look at my Outlook.
What do you put it in Outlook, and that's where it needs to be.
I went to school with Mark as well.
You joining the army today?
I always enjoy.
Sorry?
So my favourite estate agency is Avocado. Number 1.
That's why you come dressed in
Number
green.
2 is Osborne Heath. Number 3 is Stratton Parker. Number 4 and 5. 4 probably Romans. Number 5, Prospect Estate Agency at Bracknell.
Bracknell?
Go on, let's go and have a look. Sleeping quarters. Yeah. I'm going to put a mirror up there.
Yeah.
Here. In there. I'll stick a mirror.
Okay.
Some nice light feature coming down, shining through the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then into the entrance. Sleeping quarters off to the left.
Yeah. Sleeping quarters.
You know, the little cloakroom.
Yeah.
Downstairs toilet. Nice. You just kind of it didn't have an arrival before.
Yeah. No.
Having an arrival. Into islands going there. Kitchen going out onto a patio that's there.
And is that going to be...
Patio's going to go line with that.
Yeah.
And then that's going to
driveway.
be driveway
Yeah.
up to the back.
Yeah.
And then in here, we're calling this a boot room. But utility, great size utility.
Big. Really
Big utility.
So this is the extension?
This is the extension on
Yeah.
the side, yeah. Mate, you right? Eddie, you right? You good?
Yeah, good, mate.
You right? You right?
How you been? You all right?
Yeah, good. The only one you're not doing today is that back extension.
Yeah.
Just do all of this,
Yeah.
but the back extension.
Yeah, perfect.
And then in here, you've got living room. This is, if I was to say one thing that lets it down, size of living room.
So is this coming through?
You know what that's in? Dining room, living room. So you've got your super room in there though. That's what I think that.
So what we can do with this big point is help with the saleability for it.
Yeah.
We can either do versations to show it, or if you've got any soapy stuff on it, being able to put some furniture.
I'll furniture it. I'm going to put chibis on the wall. Yeah.
Just to sort of
Turn that into a snug.
Yeah.
Then come around here because he's doing the gap.
Just from practicality,
Yeah.
in terms of bed,
Yeah.
bedside cabinets, obviously.
Yeah. I was thinking of putting a built-in wardrobe there, but do you reckon not?
I'd worry about bed, especially if it's a 4-bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay, you had wardrobe against that. Yeah, I think it's going to take up too much space.
Yeah, get it out. It has to be incidental to the use of the house.
Right.
So if someone moves here,
Yeah.
and as an old parent and they want to move in here,
They can-
that's incidental. If
Okay.
they have a teenage son, that's incidental.
From a planning point of view, as this stands at the moment,
This
a
is
garage.
this is approved outbuilding,
Yeah.
office, outdoor kitchen, garage.
Right.
However, a user can use it. I can't just dictate who's going to buy the house.
Yeah.
What they couldn't do is buy it and rent this out to a random individual that was not within their family
Yeah.
unit. That would not
Be
be
acceptable.
permitted development or
Yeah.
lawful development, whatever this term is. So yeah,
What more than equal, and somebody-
this no, we're doing it. We're going to decorate this,
Yeah.
floor it,
Okay.
but that's it. We'll put the toilet in there.
Yeah.
This will be the plant room for this, and then garage.
Big garage.
Huge double
Yeah.
garage, yeah. Bathrooms. Nice. Nice. 2 weeks. You'll see this. You will see carpets, I think the 14th. I think they're scheduled for the 14th. Okay, so flooring starts on the 10th. So when the flooring goes down, kind of everyone's out. Blue over things over your shoes, you know, it's clean. So from now, in 10 days from now, we're snagging and carpeting this. So it's not far, it's not far. So this one's been plastered. He'll have it plastered fully, top to bottom, boarded, plastered by next Friday. I wanted to see if I could get a rise out of you. Your eyes cool. I've got a reputation for setting unrealistic goals with my guys. Nick, the chippy, he works 7 days, morning and night. He's a different breed. Yeah. Just works. Here, we got consent here for 88 houses and apartments and going in over there. So we're just demolishing this site, clearing it back, and over there, we're just about to go in for 293 apartments on that land. So this whole area, from my site around the corner, this is a big regeneration. We're involved in a big regeneration of this area. I hope that in time to include, I'm trying to buy the surgery over there, the doctor's surgery, just over the back there. In discussions with them at the moment, hopefully to include that in my regeneration, this entire part of Bracknell. Sophie's family, that site we was on, they built that, physically built it. It was just a pitch and nothing else. So her aunt and uncle built that club up. Okay. And they had a driving cafe on that site. But when places like Weatherspoons there started doing breakfasts for £2 and a fiver with a pint, that type of business at a football club just, social clubs per se just died. And then they passed away, June and Brian, her aunt and uncle, and then it passed to their son, and he kind of ran it more as a social club, not as a sports team type club. And it just wasn't, it couldn't compete with the town and the other things. It was just hard, yeah. And he just wrestled with it, and then there was a chairman that came in and sold the land, and it was just failing. And then in 2015, me and Sophie went in, and it was from a family perspective, it was a fairly hostile takeover. We hostilely took it over, but only because they were being forced out by a developer, and they weren't getting good value. So we, in the simple terms, I went to the developer and said, right, this is going to play out one of two ways. You push on with your option, and I will make sure everyone round here locally and every paper, everyone will know that you are having this club over. So either you accept my money now and I'll buy your option back and I'll do it properly, or you press through and we'll go to war. And he backed down. We wrote him a check for, I think, 30 grand. We then wrote another check for £36,000 to the Green King that were trying to foreclose on the club with historical brewery debts. We reached agreement with HMRC over debts that were owed to them. And we kind of got the club back out of it. It wasn't in administration, but it was touching administration. So we brought it back to a solvent. We got it out of debt, got it back to solvent state. And then we started to look at a better option for where we could move and where we could grow. But back then, the club wasn't doing anything. We then really pushed it on and got it promoted several times. And I grew it and pushed it up the leagues to the pinnacle for the very first time. Bracknell had been once before in the FA Cup first round proper against Lincoln. And I then took them for the second time running to the first round proper, but the very first time that they'd been televised. So the whole game was televised on ITV. And then back to back in the next year, under my chairmanship with my team, we achieved back to back first round propers, and we got them into the FA Cup first round proper again, and we played away at Cambridge. And then that was my final year. I kind of 10 very intense years. Ellis touched on it this morning. It consumes your life, everything, and your whole mindset changes. I've changed as a person in the 8 months since I've stepped away from football, because when you're in there, it's very hard to take your hat off. Everything is about winning, and you adapt. Yeah. The
high, the low.
Yeah, and you then bleed. You find that bleeding into your life. So if I had an issue in planning, I wouldn't think of it in rational. I have to win, not I have to consult and have dialogue. I just have to win at all costs. And that kind of bravado ends up dripping into everyday life. I noticed it more and more with every day, every week, every month that passes. My demeanor, approach, just calmer, think more logically. And I've just adapted a different team around me. When you're in that world, the team you have around you, I had constructed a team around me of winners. Winners. That's all.
Only winner.
Only winning. At all costs, you win. On a Saturday afternoon, you win. You must win. And I was pretty ruthless in my approach. I demanded peak performance and I demanded 3 points of my team. I was relentless. We just had to win, had to achieve. We had to be pushing forward. A draw to me was a defeat. A defeat was worse than death. I drew that a couple of weeks ago, that whole configuration and how I wanted the bars. And I'll show you in a minute on my phone. I drew that and sent it to the glazer. We didn't do this necessarily by architectural design. We've done this by, just made it up as we went along to a point to make it work. So it's great seeing it done. Yeah. How many
30.
of them?
30.
I've told him that he needs to up that.
Slowed that, yeah. In the last couple of hours, it's just dead.
What, from them?
Yeah, from them.
Total?
We had about 9 loads in the last 2 hours.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more.
He shoved all his oven. Yeah, he put that.
Go look.
Yeah, I will. In the door is your lunch. In your door's the lunch. I got you a wrap. Jude runs this site. They call him Little Boss or Little Kane. In actual fact, I've said it before. Me and Sophie actually answer to Jude. Jude is the boss. He's our youngest son, but the boss of everyone. When he was growing up, he was referred to as King Jude because he had us all round his finger. James, look at this. Tent City. Is it not?
It goes to the side.
You get wet on the side. You have actually built a shanty hut. That's. He sits on TikTok all day, yeah. Did you think that was going to be a really cool job? Sitting on your phone on social media?
No, I knew it was going to get boring at one point.
Yeah.
I did, yeah.
He actually started doing work yesterday. He was helping the guys out. Now, when he was doing work, he didn't want to do work. He just wanted to sit down. But now he's got a job full time sitting down. He wants to do work. How's that work? We bored you into being a grafter. Yeah. We're making improvements to the front here. The stone detail should be arriving tomorrow. We'll finish this and hopefully be getting this tarmacked and based up and landscaped over the next week. Get him doing all. Are you setting yourself up for a day off? You call me tomorrow sick, I'll come and pick you up. Your belly's fat. It was kind of all that COVID era, COVID period. So he was with us through that. He spent about a year with us. Played for Sandhurst as well in that time. Then he went back to university in America, and then he came back to the UK on an internship for a company in the city. Then he went back to New York to work in the city, and now he's come over here for to start with a 6-7 months internship to focus on our sport interests, the SB Group sporting interests. So he'll look at the emerging cricket project, the emergence of the 100 game, how we really look at the opportunity. His job for me is to look at the opportunity, to see what we're about to build in cricket, where its position will be, what it can be used for. He'll also be working closely with the cricket club to help evolve. They've got lots of thoughts, it's a volunteer run organisation, and what he's basically going to do is capture their vision and start to look at how we work that into a business plan. Because ultimately we're taking a club that is volunteer run and we're making it a commercial enterprise. And that kind of process of that evolution can be quite tricky, quite challenging. So it's important to have some full-time people on the ground kind of working it. So that's what his role is for me. He's going to be doing that as an intern before going back to working more on a global standpoint. He won't be based in the UK all the time. He'll be around the world, whether it be India, America, literally all across the world. He'll be based in New York, traveling around the world, looking after our international sporting partners. That's where he's heading with that role. You joined. When did you come to the UK first?
First time was years ago now.
What was you doing in the city when you were working in New York?
Like this year, you mean just in
The
general?
one you was doing for the investment guy, the guy.
Oh, yeah, well, I worked for 3 different companies there. The first 2 is with the same set of bosses, but they just moved to another company. That I was a broker. I wasn't licensed, so I was just cold calling. Yeah, it was more like sales side, so I just would like qualify and collect leads for them. Yeah. The first job, it's just like I just made the copies. I printed out like Bluebird reports, got everyone coffee. Second year, I actually hopped on the phone and started calling people.
Yeah, I'm a copper of cream, by the way.
Oh, about
Mugging coffee, mate.
we didn't have iHeart New York, but I did get to that one. The other one was kind of a little girly.
I'll have to get one on online. I broke mine, gutted. Steve, you all right? You have a good weekend? Hopefully by the end of this week, this will be looking a little bit different. How long do you reckon it'll take you to get in and looking like a kitchen?
Mainly building the units today, and then more up on the wall.
Yeah.
Up on the wall.
I've got to get the appliances here, and this week. When are you ready for appliances? When will you be ready for them? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, perfect. Many people don't really know what I do.
Yeah.
And I learned that last time with my, when I done the project for getting housing on the football club site. Yeah. If people don't know what you're about, they'll make up their own stories. With every application I make, with every borough, I'm learning, because there was policy changes at the end of last year. We're learning how they're interpreting, how they're incorporating them policy changes. And every time I put an application in, it's a learning curve. To put my pre-application in at Larges Lane, I'm already, and it's only a pre-application, it's only a conversation. I'm into it for about 50 grand. That's 3 months of work. It's cost about 50 grand to put that together. You look at the one on Larges Lane, if I see that through to approval for 294 apartments, I wouldn't mind betting that will cost me between £250,000 to £500,000 in planning fees. So the stakes are fairly high. I've got around about 10 to 15 architects, consultants, planners, tree specialists, ecologists, highway specialists. It goes on and on and on and on. You'll see, I will set out to them what I want to achieve. And effectively, they've got to find the way to get me to the end goal and satisfy all the policy points. So they could have probably got me 10, 15, 20 houses on this land here, but I've gone, well, it could be, but I want to go quicker towards 4 units with a greater value on the 4 units. The whole site cost me 4.2. I've carved off 25. This 9 that's left, if I can squeeze 8 to 9 million of turnover out of that, it's the bonus.